All right, well, we're off to the memorial service for Ron's mother. Josiah is really sick, so he is not going to be going. I've been trying to upload a video from yesterday for Friday plus the devotions, but my sister's internet is really slow. So by the time I get this on to let you guys know what's going on with the videos, I'll probably already have one uploaded because I've been uploading it for like 12 hours now. It's a long one. It's 30 minutes, but all right. So I guess our day will progress. So we're back from the memorial service, and Josiah wasn't able to go with us. Many of you know that he is dealing with some health problems, and we're pretty sure, almost totally convinced that it's an autoimmune issue. We've been to doctors. We just went in before we came up here, or before we came down here, the day before. Ron had taken him because he had blood work scheduled. He had to go get 2 different rounds of blood work. So we're waiting for the blood work to come back. But what happens is he gets so weak in his legs, his stomach just is a total mess, and he gets brain fog and just achy and hurty all over, and he could barely stand today. So he did not go, which was really, really hard for him. And his father had wanted him to be able to go to say goodbye, but when you don't feel good, you don't feel good, and we just tried to let him know that you can't do what you can't do. So the memorial service was so beautiful. It was very well done. It was a wonderful event in memorying all that Ron's mom's, her name was Joanne, all the lives that she touched. The pastor of the church did a beautiful job with the service, and one of Ron's uncles and his stepsister and another member of the church stood up and gave testimony to Joanne. But I think the thing that I want to share with you, because I as a mother, as a homeschool teacher, as somebody who internalizes or thinks about things like all the time, I don't like to use, I guess internalize might not be the right word, but always thinking about things. The significance of everybody's life that we come in contact with, and it doesn't have to be where somebody you are in contact with every day or often, and that that it's an intimate relationship. It can be the cashier at the grocery store that you go through, or the gas station attendant, or the person walking down the street. We all interact on a shallow or deep level, but on either level, it is so we touch each other's lives in so many ways on a daily basis without even knowing it. I wasn't sure. Ron's sister had brought up before we came down that the pastor wanted to know if we wanted to stand up and say something. And the whole event hasn't really settled for us. We've been so busy. Ron and Josiah. Josiah had taken a turn for the worst when Ron's mom got sick, and so we were dealing with that, and we were having a lot of business stuff we were having to deal with. We just ended tax season, and things were just piling up that we were trying to get through, but we haven't had time to let this all sink in. So I didn't know, and Ron didn't know, if at the memorial service, if that's when it would hit. And so we were just kind of were non-committal. But I had wondered, I thought about what would I say if I did stand up and share my thoughts of Joanne. And I started thinking about when I was young. I met Joanne when I was 19. And she didn't know it, but I watched her interactions, the way that she handled other people, the way that she treated her husband. And she did it because that's what she did. Okay, she wasn't doing it for me to view. She wasn't doing it something special for me to see. She was doing what she always did, and I just happened to be around to see it. And I saw it done repetitively, over and over and over. And that impressed me so deeply that I formed my before I was a Christian, before I understood
the respect and the obedience and the love of a wife to a husband. Her foundation, and she wasn't a Christian at the time, but she still had a certain foundation, that she had a servant's heart, and she was going to serve her husband, and she was going to serve the people that came to her home. And I formed my way of thinking about how I interacted with my husband and what I wanted from my home, based on what I saw from her. So, God never has just coincidence or chance. And so I see later where watching her made it easy for us to go into a ministry of fellowship, and made it easy for me to be wanting, not just willing, but to be wanting to be a wife that honored her husband in service to him. And it made me set me to thinking that, it's so true. How I interact with you folks and how my husband interacts with you folks, we've never met, okay? But we leave an impression for you, one way or another, good or bad. And we don't know how deeply it may impress somebody, okay, for the good or the bad. You folks interact with other people every day, whether it's your family, whether it's strangers, people from work, and you may not realize, and you may, but I believe many people don't realize the way we say things, the way we, physically correspond with somebody. Is our touch gentle? Is it harsh? Are our words soft? Are they gentle with each other? We don't know who's watching us. We don't know what impression that we're leaving on them. And it's not through, I think the thing that I'm trying to get out here is it isn't through a premeditated lesson on how or how not to behave, but it's just in our actions, our daily actions. And they can be so powerful. And what I heard at that service today is just how powerful they were, because so many people were affected by this one woman, and how she, and her husband too. I mean, it was him too, because this was them as a couple, but because it was her service, I'm going to focus on her. But how she entered or welcomed the stranger in, how she welcomed friends in. I can remember, people stopping in, that would drive me crazy, but she loved it. She loved people to drop in just round the clock at their house. And she'd always have a pot of coffee on, and everybody knew that Joanne would have that coffee pot ready, and they could grab a cup of coffee anytime they wanted. But there was a lot of trust that went into those relationships. And sometimes not much was said. Sometimes it was just having somebody there that, you could just go sit down and you could breathe a sigh of relief that you had a safe place for a moment, and then you went on your merry way. But I do think that we need to be more aware and self-conscious of our daily interactions. I know we talked about this before. We've done some videos about creating a peaceful environment in your home and how you interact with one another. But, day-to-day life gets in the way, and we forget this. And I think that that's why it's important that we make our day-to-day life that example. We're not some monumental moment, not waiting for that special time, but everything we do needs to be that example to somebody else. And I think when we realize that God is always with us, and He's always seeing us respond and seeing us interact, that it makes us just start to slow down and say, whoa, you know what, I need to change this attitude, or I need to change this personality portion, my personality in this area, or I need to be more considerate, I need to be less harsh in tone. We need to be an example. And for those of you that, are keepers of your home, I think that it stands to reason that we go back to, we really do, as women, we set the tone in our home. And some of us battle bigger battles than others. Some of us, have it easier than others. But we still are the tone setters. And we can either rise above and try to get an even keel. So I guess that's all I have for you today. I just, a lot of you, again, you've been praying for us. We thank you for that. We got to share a beautiful time today in celebrating a life, and no life is ever wasted. There's definitely things to learn from each life, and it was a full house. There's a lot of people there, and I'm sure it set us all to wondering, what would our own memorial service be like? Would it be as beautiful, or would it be, less than desirable? So, with that note, be the best you can be today, for God, for your family, for yourself. Remember that you never, ever interact with somebody that there's not an outcome in that action somewhere down the road. People model their lives after all of us. I mean, we've got people, especially our little ones. Our little ones look up to us. If it's not our little ones, it's somebody who desires to imitate our own lifestyle. I mean, we're all role models of some form, whether we know it or not, and whether we want it or not. And that's why we just need to be the best that we can be. So, all right. Well, we will talk soon. God bless.